Hello, everyone, and just give me 1 second and we'll go live on Instagram. That way we can broadcast to a number of different platforms. Okay, and it looks like Instagram is live now too. All right. Hello, everyone, and happy 3rd of July. So we are after the vacation, holidays, and wherever you're going, I hope you catch us today and just get a glimpse of what we're going to be talking about this month, because this is the first time we're dedicating the month of July to uterine health. And we always talk so much about different things like, estrogen dominance and breast health and gut health and liver health. And every month we tend to be like having a separate topic. But this is the first time we actually did uterine health. And the reason why we did that is because, sometimes when something hits really close to home, that's when you really need to start talking about it. And even though our guest today, Dr. Anna Kebeka, has been doing that kind of work for a long time, it's, I want to just share with you my personal thing really hit me hard about a couple of years ago. I was standing in my kitchen here in my house, and I felt like I needed to go and pee. But I thought I can wait for 2 more minutes. And the next thing I know, I have urine just flowing down my legs uncontrollably. And there was nothing that I could do about it. Like, I thought I had pretty strong pelvic flora and I could, tighten up the muscles down there and stop the leak. And none of that was correct. And so that completely freaked me out. And then there was in combination with whenever I was jumping and doing skipping rope as to warm up to a workout, it was just absolutely impossible to do that without leaking. And I'm lucky to have a home gym. And so even if it happens, it doesn't really matter. But they opened up a bigger conversation of something has really changed. And I will admit that this was my welcome to perimenopause. All the hot flashes, all the shorter periods, I was still in denial about it until this peeing episode started. And when I started talking to women about it, it became so apparent that there's 4 major areas of uterine health that we're going to be talking about this month, you guys. So obviously incontinence, involuntary incontinence. We're going to be talking about surprising infections like BV, UTI, cystitis, candida down there that come out for no good reason. We're going to be talking about irregular growth, such as fibroids and polyps. And then number 4, we're going to be done talking about thinning of the skin down there that causes a lot of pain and burning, right? So expect a lot of really great content, and I cannot cover this. I'm not an expert in those areas. And so I've pulled wonderful colleagues and experts who really do amazing and outstanding work in this field to share of what's working. But it's also just in full honesty, like, there is no one product that's going to fix everything. I will just share with you a little bit more about my story, but the truth is that that there is just no one single cream, not one single bowl, not one single supplement that's going to fix everything. A lot of times it's a combination of different modalities that you need to put together to get best results when it comes to the health down there. Anyway, I shall shut up now. Dr. Anna Kebeka is here, graciously joining us all the way from Portugal. And what are you doing? Do you mind sharing what are you doing there?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. I think menopause is definitely, not that I think I know, menopause is a time to be celebrated. And we've really gone a long way with menopause awareness, but really menopause condemnation. So I'm actually in Portugal right now. I'm heading into Spain to walk the Portuguese coastal route of the Camino de Santiago. And that is a pilgrimage for me that marks my successful completion of my reproductive years into menopause. So I've kind of been thinking, okay, well, I mean, it's kind of been involved for many reasons. First of all, my Camino de Santiago, my walk, my pilgrimage, my 7-day walking, 20 to 28 kilometers a day. This is for myself, but it's also a mark of a meaning. It's a calling, but it's celebration. It's celebration of being through menopause. It's celebration of enjoying time with myself during this walk. It's a celebration of my spiritual growth and development. It's celebration of my ability to serve through my messes that I've had in my life. So I am actually starting my walk right now as we speak. And so I'm here with Magdalena, and I'm excited to be here. So.
Thank you. So we already got a number of questions that came in via email this morning. So we'll pop those in a second. So hey, you guys, so just maybe whatever feels comfortable, because it's a very, very personal issue and not everybody wants to, we are on a public platform. Some people don't care. I mean, as you can hear, I talk about my peeing myself over and over again, and I have no qualms about it, but everybody has got a different tolerance level. So whatever feels comfortable, either pop your questions in here or just share with us what are some of the changes that you've experienced ever since you enter perimenopause and menopause. Because really those are the, we've all had candida in our 20s and 30s. I remember having my first UTI from, having a new boyfriend, right? And, that kind of stuff, like we all experience that at some point. But it's very distinctly different. And maybe Dr. Anna, let's talk about that. Why is it so distinctly different? It's like the moment you hit perimenopause, menopause, there are some major changes that start happening that suddenly women go like, I never had that burning. I never had that incontinence. I never had that sudden BV. Like, where is this coming from? I'm not in college anymore. My partner is the same guy from the past, or girl from the past 10 years. What's going on?
Yeah, no, first of all, I want to emphasize what you said, that this is vulnerable. I mean, I've been in medicine and sexual health for 30 years. 30 years. I mean, I went to medical school in 1991, so over 30 years, and I did research before I went to medical school. There is no area in our lives where we're more vulnerable as a man or a woman in regards to sexual health. This is the most vulnerable area. And we talk about, like we're ashamed to talk about what we're going through. We just got to power through, because haven't, millions of women before us just powered through this? I mean, somehow they've survived. Who am I to complain, for heaven's sakes? Who am I to speak up and say, I don't like the way I'm being treated in this medical system. I don't like the recommendations that are being given to me. Am I supposed to suffer and power through? I think that's a real problem with our medical society and our medical system, as well as what we have now today with becoming more open about menopause and hormonal transition. We have a ability to talk about this in a safe way. So there, I get questions. I get questions on the train coming here. I get questions from, in front of large audience, and it's in a vulnerable area. So I'm always like, well, you can say, if you're shy, just say, hey, I'm asking for a friend. I mean, it's perfectly acceptable. I am asking for a friend. But it's important that we ask and start having this conversation, so we're not another 10, 20 years from now watching the next generation suffer through a transition, a metamorphosis into a second spring that really is designed to empower us, not diminish us. Yeah. And so I want to say that your questions are welcome. And that, again, there's no area that's more vulnerable. And the common things that I see people disconnecting, like what happens during this time, because we think, oh, who am I to complain, right? Who am I to, raise the red flag? I mean, again, millions of women have done this before me. But look, we're in we have a different toxic burden now than we had, even a decade ago. Women are having more hormonal issues and problems than we did a decade or 2 decades, certainly 100 years ago, before the Industrial Revolution, and 500,000 chemical products have been introduced into our system, our air, our bloodstream, affecting us as women. So we have to speak up and say, hey, this isn't right. I don't know what I'm feeling, but I don't want to continue feeling this way. And only in that way can we impact the toxic burden that we've had. Can we make changes in our air and our pollution levels and in our physical body, so that we can actually see beautiful transition into the second spring, or maybe the second 50 of our lives. So now I forgot your question, Magdalena. I'm sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about, why is it very much in perimenopause and menopause that suddenly a lot of this, an onset of the symptoms of vaginal changes, uterine changes in women, and not before that?
Okay, so definitely with the hormonal changes that we're seeing right now, it's just a decline in ovarian function. So just like there's a 24-hour clock, the sun rises, the sun set, our body has clock genes that regulate our daily cycle, our monthly cycle as women, and our reproductive life cycle. So typically in our 30s, all of us start to decline ovarian um, egg production. So decline in follicles, declining egg production, which results in a decline in hormone production. So we see this as a transition time period based on genetics and evolution and epigenetics, a different timing for everyone. But we see this shift and decline in predominantly progesterone as the first major hormone to decline, as well as DHEA.
Yeah, so that's do you want to explain a little bit more, because I find it really quite fascinating, like how the decline of estrogen and testosterone impacts, like, for example, let's start off with incontinence first, and then the other one that we've been getting a lot of questions about is the sudden infections.
Yeah, no, this is important. So like recurrent urinary tract infections, vaginal infections, vaginitis, the fishy odor, what's happening there? So the vaginal tissue, mucosa, all the way down to the muscular tissue, and the fascia, that's our connective tissue that runs throughout our body that basically holds us together and holds everything in, has hormone receptors. And they have progesterone receptors, estrogen receptors, testosterone receptors. This we know from science and anatomy. And so as our hormone production starts to decline, we start to get a stiffness in our fascia. If you're midlife and you had stiff fingers, stiff feet, decrease in flexibility, you know what I'm talking about. But it happens to the pelvic floor too. So we lose the elasticity of the pelvic floor. And what happens around the urethra, we lose the strength and muscular. And there was a paper published in an endocrinology scientific magazine in 2014 that I was reviewing recently that looked at testosterone, DHEA, and progesterone all increases muscle protein synthesis. Estrogen does not, but testosterone, DHEA, and progesterone increase muscle protein synthesis. So the elasticity of muscles, the strength, the ability to increase musculature. So when you lose these hormones, you lose that muscle, you lose that elasticity. And so your defense mechanism is gone. You lose the natural glandular production of secretions, and also the strength, the structure, like just the strength of the urethra to decrease an infection or bacteria from coming into the bladder as well as to the vagina. And you see an increase in infections. So the best thing, Magdalena, I'll tell you a story. So can I tell you a story?
Sure. How can I help you?
I know, right? You're probably not right now. So I have a client who she was 56 years old, and she had been divorced for 20 years, raised her kids, they're off to college, and now she was dating again, and she met the love of her life. So she's enjoying intimacy. And then she calls me. She said, she's from California. And she said, Dr. Ann, I'm my third urinary tract infection. I keep getting, burning and discomfort after we have sex and a fishy odor. And I go to my, physician, and now she wants me on a daily antibiotic to prevent another urinary tract infection. Yeah. And she goes, I just know that's not right. I know I'll get yeast infections. I just know that an antibiotic's not right. I said, well, thank you for calling me. You're absolutely right. I said, it won't hurt. Let's try this first. I said, first of all, let's get you on some vitamin C, and let's increase it to 4,000 milligrams per day, 2,000 to 4,000 milligrams a day of vitamin C, right? Under $1, you can take this, right? Under $1 a day, you can take 2,000 to 4,000 milligrams of a high quality vitamin C. Begin a probiotic daily. So that's good bacteria, reinstitute good bacteria daily. And, protein, and good foods that are rich in probiotics. So like your fermented foods and good digestive foods and all those things. So start doing that. Pee after you have sex, and use Julva every day, once a day, and use it during sex. And Julva is my product I created to help reverse the hands of time on the pelvic floor. Well, she called me up 3 months later and said, Dr. Ann, I haven't had another urinary tract infection. And she goes, that completely game changed my intimacy. I look forward to it versus worrying about, am I going to get an infection? Am I going to have discomfort? Am I going to have an odor after sex? So that completely eliminated the problem without an antibiotic, without disrupting my gut microbiome. I feel healthier and happier than ever.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things about, like, doesn't like estrogen control also the microbiome in the vagina?
Estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, and testosterone. They're all components
Of the
Mhm.
microbiome. Yeah.
Mhm.
And we have a microbiome down there, just like the way you have in a gut, just different
We
bacteria.
do. And it's predominantly a Lactobacillus crispatus. It's predominantly a Lactobacillus strain. Lactobacillus casei or crispatus. That two combination are really powerful.
There's 4 of them actually, and they're predominant there. And we're actually launching a product called Shibiotic later this month, so you guys will know about it, just to replenish that. But again, it works so much better when you do a few modalities here and there together. And so, yeah, so that's I mean, Jova is an amazing product. For those of you who don't know, it's a DHEA cream. And I've been using it for my hemorrhoids too, and it actually works really great too. So I'll pop it in link for those of you who want to try it, because can you tell us a little bit more about what Jova does?
Yeah.
And one of the things, the link I'm gonna pop is for you guys to try the sample first, see whether you like the smell. How does it? You can do it for a week. Is a week's supply in a sample here?
Yes, 7 days.
For 7 days, yeah. And you just pay for shipping. This comes free. It's a really great product to try. And this has been definitely one of my go-tos. And I would say it reduced my incontinence significantly. Not entirely. So I'll tell you later what I had to do. But it's something that, I mean, we've been getting so much feedback from our community about Julva on reinstating their sex life, bringing a lot of blood flow down there again, just like women feeling like a sense of revival down there. So tell us a little bit about Julva, like what's in it, and why did you why DHEA? Let me also ask you this: why DHEA and not like estrogen is like a very popular thing to put into a lot of those vaginal creams?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple things to realize. So I'm a gynecologist. I'm a board certified gynecologist and obstetrician. I trained at Emory University. I did bladder surgeries, vaginal reconstructive surgeries I've done that for decades. And so one of the things that certainly in the early 2000s that was an issue was mesh erosion. And you guys, I don't know, I was in Southeast Georgia and we saw billboards in Southeast Georgia, like mesh erosion, basically sue your doctor. Really, it was the mesh erosion company. And what was happening, people were putting these bladder meshes in, atrophic vagina, postmenopausal vaginas that were really thinned out and had decreased integrity of the muscle and the vaginal walls. So as a gynecologist and anatomist, I was like, and I studied this, what can we do to support hormonally the strength of the vagina? Now, estrogen doesn't work for that. A lot of hype on estrogen, but estrogen doesn't work for strengthening. Pelvic floor exercises and DHEA and testosterone, the combination, pelvic floor exercises and DHEA was in Julva, work together to strengthen the muscular layers and the integrity of the vaginal vault, and the layers of the vagina to reduce the hands of time. Estrogen works on the mucosal layer. So if you think of your mouth, the first layer, the wet layer, that's mucosa. DHEA works on all 3 layers. So the mucosal layer down to the strength and structure, down to the muscular layer. That's a pro-anabolic precursor. So it helps to build and strengthen. With pelvic floor exercise, the combination makes the difference. Estrogen doesn't do that. The second reason is that estrogen, a lot of hype, but again, besides only working on the mucosal layer, not working to strengthen and improve the integrity of the deeper layers, it transfers to your male partner. So then you have to worry about timing. When do I have sex? Should I wait If I'm going to have sex tonight or tomorrow, I better use my estrogen cream now. Or, honey, I just put my estrogen cream in now. We can't have sex, or I'm giving you estrogen. Now that, unless you want your partner to have more estrogen, I mean, you really have to think about those things. And so what I found as a surgeon is that when I use DHEA and testosterone pre-operatively, number one, I had better tissue to operate on, stronger, healthier tissue, because it reverses the hands of time like nothing else on the market. But I had stronger tissue, but also the patients would, as I got better and better at this, my patients would come in and say, Dr. N, I'm not having any more leaking. I'm not having pain. I'm having the best orgasms of my life. I'm like, there goes your reason to operate. So, I needed to do less and less surgeries because that, addressed the issue, and especially as it comes to incontinence.
Yeah. So let's dive into some questions in just a second. I just want to finish the thought that apart from Julva, which I've been using daily at night, that's been tremendous help. The other thing that helped a lot, and you guys, we're going to be talking about it next week with my colleague Jenna Danielson, is the Cooch ball. It's about sitting on a ball. Yeah, sitting on a ball and releasing the fascia, bringing the blood flow back into that area again. She's been having incredible results with women, especially like who've been having a lot of changes down there after birthing children, especially larger children, many children. And so just releasing the fascia does incredible work. So I feel like Julva and the Cooch ball for some women might be like, I think I'm a tough case. I was a bit like on a tougher case where taking DHEA, applying it topically helped, but it didn't completely take it out. I was still leak when I jumped. And so Cooch ball was the fix. Anyway, stay tuned for next week. Jenna is going to be coming on. We're going to be doing a live call, including why Kegels are not for everyone. She has a really great explanation on that one. So let's dive into questions. We've got a few that came in via email this morning. And
I just want to say I love the Cooch ball, because you think about, pelvic floor exercises, but also like, what does a massage do? It relaxes, releases tension within the fascia. And you never think, like, when do you get a massage of your pelvic floor? So the Cooch ball really can help relieve tension, help improve blood flow, lymphatics, nerve flow, and connectivity. So it's a really great complement.
Jenny is asking, I'm having vulvar itching, causes, and what are the remedies?
So it depends. So I had a client come in my office the other day. She was a 43-year-old patient, and she'd been treated for recurrent itching of the vulvar area, especially around the clitoris, she said. And I questioned her. I was like, sounds like a yeast infection. She goes, yeah, I've been treated repeatedly for a yeast infection. I said, well, let me examine you. So I examined her, and what she had instead of a yeast infection was lichen sclerosis. So that itching, if it's not resolved with a topical antifungal, a change in diet, getting rid of sugar, using probiotics, applying Julva, even twice a day regularly, if you've got lichen sclerosis, you have to be evaluated. And sometimes that tissue has to be biopsied to see, is it a skin disorder? Is it a vulvar dystrophy? So you have to rule that out. And so, I think those are definitely important aspects, especially if it's something recurrent and not going away. Keep asking questions, keep digging, go beyond the diagnosis of yeast infection, because typically something else is going on.
Yeah. Somebody's asking, what can it be? Can this be used if I'm having a little BV, but may not be in perimenopause? She's 38.
Yeah. So what happens as we get older, the vaginal pH starts to increase. So we go from an acidic vaginal pH. So imagine the vagina is a portal into our pelvis, right? Into our abdomen, into the peritoneum. So when we have sex, sperm goes in through the cervix, into the uterus, out through the fallopian tubes, and, or should meet an egg in the fallopian tube, should it be so lucky, right? And that's how fertilization occurs. But bacteria, infection, viruses, yeast go the same route. So the design of the vagina is to be very acidic, to be that first barrier to prevent infection, to prevent sperm. That's why there's millions of sperm to one egg, survival of the fittest type of thing. But there, we get HPV, we get HSV, so herpes, human papillomavirus, all of these other things that can affect internally into our system. So the vagina is designed to be acidic. However, as we age, it becomes more alkaline. And that's even more noticeable with this. And if you're on birth control pills, same thing. Chronic hormone contraceptives, same thing. Or diet, very high acid diet, same thing. Inflammation, autoimmune issues, same thing. So the design of the vagina is to be acidic and the first line of defense. As we get older and a decline in the hormone, the pH increases, so it becomes more alkaline. And so that's associated with more of a fishy odor and a susceptibility to bacterial vaginosis, and especially dominant after sex if you didn't use a condom and there's semen within the vagina. The semen is very alkaline. And so that lets off these amines, which are that ammonia type scent, and worsens the fishy odor and the vaginal pH. So it's like, so it really, you need to pay attention to that. And then again, one of the reasons I created Julva was to improve the pH of the vagina, make it more acidic, and also support healthy vaginal microbiota, the healthy vaginal milieu. So
yeah. Just to confirm, this can't be used while breastfeeding, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. And so then we had a whole bunch of questions that came in via email. Let me just pull out my Slack. One lady, she says she's 74, has intense itching, especially in the evening in the whole crotch area and labia. Also, she's continent all day and night, except that when I get up from a chair in bed, I go to pee. The pee releases before I reach the toilet when I'm trying to pull pants down. The floor and my clothes are all wet. Okay. I try wearing adult diapers, but I'm dry all day, night, all goes, and that irritates the skin further. Please help. Yeah.
So definitely, talk with your gynecologist, get an evaluation, because what really sounds, it's like the strength of the urethra doesn't, so the urethral pressure is weaker than the bladder, we call it intravesicular pressure. So you have to work to time yourself to increase your frequency to go to the bathroom, so you're not as full when you get there. Work on dietary changes, improve the muscle strength, pelvic floor exercises till we die. You are not off the hook on pelvic floor exercises. You have to do them, and use Julva. I would increase the use of Julva to once or twice a day. If you continue, because of this moisture, the yeast infection, you've got to aggressively treat yeast. So I use prescription diflucan, 200 milligrams every other day for even several weeks if I need to, topical antifungal prescriptions, or boric acid, 600 milligrams twice a day vaginally, and Julva daily to twice a day to work to to improve the health of the tissue and the pelvic floor. Makes a huge difference.
Okay. Next one we have, sorry, I just lost my slide. All right. Next question is, how do I deal with thinning tissue?
Thinning tissue, again, that's hormonal. So same thing always. Pelvic floor exercises, strengthening the pelvic floor, doing something like using Jana Danielson's Cooch Ball, keeping your nutrition healthy, and using Julva. Julva works to turn the hands of time. You can also, in addition, work with your gynecologist to prescribe vaginal testosterone and/or DHEA suppositories to use at least 4 to 5 times a week vaginally to improve the strength of the muscle layers as well, to add some testosterone in there in addition to the DHEA and the Julva cream.
There's actually a good question. Somebody's asking, what is the meaning of pelvic? What is pelvic exercises?
Oh yeah, so that's great. So typically you'll hear the term Kegel exercises. Kegel is as a male physician, a male doctor who really described this pelvic floor, and Kegels are done by both men and women. It's this concept of lifting in women, say for example, lifting the pelvic floor. If you consider the pelvic floor, this triangular diamond shaped area between the clitoris. You have the opening of the urethra, the vagina, and the anus, and then beyond the anus. So you have this pelvic floor area. We sit on it most of the time. I'm sitting on it right now. And we think of strengthening, bringing clitoris to anus and bringing it up. And again, men can do this. They work on above the penis, the pubic bone, and strengthening the pelvic floor, the perineal body that separates the vagina, the vaginal opening from the anal opening. We call that the perineal body, bringing that up. So we think about bringing this entire pelvic floor up and in. For my patients, I say, bring it all into the vagina and up to the belly button on an exhale. That's the trick. And then relax. And so pelvic floor exercise strengthen the pelvic floor. We need to do it till we die. I say pelvic floor because I don't want to give our female pelvic floor then exercise the name of a guy. Sorry, it's just
yeah. And you guys log in next week. We're talking. We're gonna have Jenna doing actual demo of how you don't have to have her ball. We're gonna do a demo with a rolled up towel, so you can actually roll up a towel. Or if you have a dog at home and you play with balls, you can sit on a lot of different things. So we can totally do that. Let's see. We've got a spammer here. Let me just block this user. All right. Then another question that came in was including pelvic organ prolapse in this. Could you include pelvic organ prolapse in this discussion? Would be helpful. Is life-changing to have this issue. Do you want to talk about prolapse a little?
Yeah, definitely. Prolapse is when there's a break. Can be a couple reasons. Loss in the muscle strength of the pelvic floor. There are different types of prolapses. Prolapse is a general term for relaxation of. And so you have bladder prolapse, which means if you think of the vagina as a tube, the bladder sits in front of the tube, the rectum sits behind the vaginal tube. And you can have rectal prolapse where the wall between the vagina and the rectum loses the strength of the fascia and the muscle, and it prolapses in. We call that rectal prolapse. Bladder prolapse or anterior prolapse is when there's a relaxation or a break in the fascia, a decrease in the strength of the anterior wall of the vagina, and that balloons in. And then uterine prolapse, think of the uterus up here at the top of, right? We have our cervix and our uterus, and the ligaments that hold the uterus decrease, as well as essentially the walls of the vaginal, the walls of the vagina. And so then you get a prolapse of the uterus into the vagina, and sometimes comes out the opening of the vagina. And we call that a complete uterine prolapse. Wow. So all of these prolapses are pretty, are life-changing, and they affect your quality of life. Oftentimes the symptom is at the end of the day, I feel like I feel a lot of pelvic floor pressure, or I have to push back in my cervix, or these issues. And it can be, there are many reasons for it, but what we have to do, as a surgeon, as a gynecologist, we have to evaluate what's causing this. Is it something that we need to surgically repair, or can we use a pessary, which is a device that goes into the vagina to lift and support the pelvic walls? Or, or do we just watch until it gets worse and then intervene with surgery?
So it doesn't sound like there's a lot of natural solutions for a prolapse from the sounds of it. I mean, it doesn't sound like Julva is the answer to a prolapse. It
depends on the degree of prolapse. It depends on the degree. You have to strengthen the muscle walls. So before using a pessary and before doing surgery, I use vaginal hormones. So I will use Julva topically and internally. I'll prescribe vaginal testosterone, high dose for an amount of time to help strengthen the walls of the vagina, so that if I do have to operate, a lot of times that relieves the symptoms, depending on the degree. You have first degree, second degree, third degree, and complete prolapse. So depends on the degree of prolapse. Do you need surgical intervention or pessary? If we're using a pessary, you have to use Jolva or hormones beyond estrogen to keep that tissue healthy vaginally, or you get erosions and infections. It's terrible. I'm a gynecologist. I've seen the brunt of it. So you want to prevent that. And then if you are going to operate, you want to have good tissue. So you definitely want to use these ahead of time to try.
Right.
But a lot of times this will help alleviate the symptoms. And if the next step is pessary or surgery, it improves the outcome of those.
Okay. Okay. Samri is asking, how will the cream affect endometriosis?
Summary, DHEA has, the cream has DHEA and plant stem cells from the alpine rose. So I use that quite confidently. The DHEA works to oppose any effect of endometriosis. So you can see an improved benefit. But with endometriosis, you always want to get to the underlying cause of endometriosis. So detoxification, dietary changes, anti-candidal treatment, anti-inflammatory diet, all of those things have to come into play with endometriosis.
There is a whole chapter in my book, Overcoming Estrogen Dominance, on endometriosis summary. If you don't have that book, then maybe consider getting it on Amazon. So estrogen dominance, a big root cause, and then inflammation. So those are the two major things. Easy to say, but it may require, like Dr. Anna said, a lot of changes. And most likely the endometriosis is going to improve, but you're also going to get a lot of other benefits from it in your life overall. So Katie's saying we need a class on these exercises. Yes, so come in for next week, and you are going to be in for a treat on that. Oleg is asking, can you tell how to order Jolva? Yes. So I'll tell you what, you guys, couple of things. When you're on Instagram, just go to one of our posts and just enter the word revive. And then you're going to get a whole PDF from us. I don't think that's going to work on live. You're going to get a whole PDF from us that has got the uterine and the down there protocol that has all the things we talked about, the 4 areas of uterine, the down there issues, including the product links are in there as well. But also it's like a 17-page document, including why is it happening? What are the symptoms? And then what do you do about it? Right. So, and then the Jolva link is there, but I'm also going to put it in the comments. I'm just not sure if you can, there's not easy way in Instagram to click on a thing. So we ask a lot of people asking about the sample. So I just popped in the other thing I'm going to do, you guys, I'm going to put it in the bio link in just a second while we're talking, and you can get it from there. Mina is asking, I'm on estrogen patches, 2 weeks of progesterone tablets. Periods has been heavier and lasted longer. It's exhausting me. It's not so much of a pelvic question, but do you want to address that maybe?
So explain again. So she's on estrogen?
She's on estrogen patches, 2 weeks of progesterone tablets. Periods have been heavier and lasted longer. It's exhausting me.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. So like the question is, maybe back down, talk with your physician, back down on the estrogen, work on your estrogen detoxification pathways. So a way we can do that naturally, whether we've done a Dutch test or a blood test looking at 2, 4, and 16 hydroxy and methoxy estrogen pathways, there's whole discussion on that, right?
Yeah.
We want to look at our estrogen detoxification pathways, but you can use DIM, diindole methane, that supplement from broccoli seed extract, for instance, and very powerful nutrient to help with estrogen detoxification. Flax seeds, isoflavones, and iodine supplementation can all support those pathways, as well as calcium D-glucarate for the estrogen dominant symptoms. Those are a few nutrients that I would help. And I always, as a baseline, put clients on my Mighty Maca Plus, which has 30 superfoods that work together to support detoxification and very adaptogenic to support hormones. So that's a couple things I would do.
Katie is asking, how can we get these creams to put on topically for strength? I'm not sure what that strength is, but do you want to talk about
Julva.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Julva is over the counter. So the reason I created Julva, because there was, I wanted to create something that was better, honestly, better than I could write on a prescription pad, cleaner, more natural, and more effective. So Julva is the starting point for sure. So you can do that yourself. You can get a 60-day supply. So that's one full tube of Julva, and start using it. Initially, I tell clients, especially if you've had atrophy, you want to start every other day because it is designed to work. So start every other day the first week, then go to daily. And if in 2 weeks you're not seeing significant improvements, you can bump it up to twice a day for 2 to 4 weeks, and then back down to once a day to really make those important changes happen faster for you.
People asking, what is your Instagram page?
At the Girlfriend Doctor, y'all. At the Girlfriend Doctor. So I'm at the Girlfriend Doctor on all social media, and my website's dranna.com, DRANNA.com.
People asking, could they buy Julva on Amazon? Yes, it's available, right?
You can, but get it through this link.
Yeah, because Amazon doesn't have samples, right? It only has full product too.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. If you guys want the sample, then use the link that I just posted here.
Yeah, and you'll get better deals. You'll get better deals through the link and through the website for sure.
Awesome. Let's see. Do you want to? We need to start wrapping up. Do you want to maybe just do like a wrap up of what do you see when women use Julva?
So, first of all, I love Magdalena. So it's like, okay, let's get into this. And she's not afraid of talking about anything. She breezed over the issue with the hemorrhoid. Now, I'm a gynecologist, I know, and I've done hemorrhoid surgery. Hemorrhoid surgery is worse to recover from than complete hysterectomies.
Are you serious?
Seriously. Wow. There's so many nerve endings around the anus. It's very, very painful. Wow. So anything you can do to prevent it, and we don't think about it, right? And you'll hear me say clitoris to anus, the most important anatomy of our body. When things aren't healthy down there, it affects the quality of our life. If we have to work around incontinence, if we have clitoral adhesions or shrinkage, which we will unless we're doing something like Julva regularly, and we'll have anal fissures and hemorrhoids as we get older, all those issues, vaginal dryness, et cetera, prolapse issues. You have to keep the pelvis healthy. Pelvic floor exercises are always key. Using, for me, the product Julva, I'm even taking it in my hiking trip for 7 days. I don't want chafing and everything else. I'm like, it's important for me. I'm going to keep that area healthy. And so, this is critical to aging well. So when we think about like wrapping up what's important with the pelvic floor health, pelvic floor exercises always. And, we want to age gracefully and powerfully and strong and not be limited, right? So there's beyond the cosmetic appearance and wrinkles of our skin and our laugh lines and smile lines, the lines we get down in our bottom, affect the function and the quality of our life. So incontinence issues, pain, discomfort, atrophy, et cetera. So, where Magdalena said, just kind of breeze through, this helped my hemorrhoids. I'm telling you, I've helped so many clients who have suffered from painful hemorrhoids just with applying the cream topically. I mean, just is game changing, but an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So we want to age powerfully and strong and well and healthfully. As the ultimate, we want to be in charge. Like, let's not forget, again, the most important anatomy of our body.
And you can use it as a lubricant too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
because you're like, if you're in a heterosexual relationship, the guy getting some DHEA is not going to hurt. So probably going to benefit him.
I have guys using Julva. Absolutely. They can
really?
Okay. On their testicles and increase function. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Hey, you guys, by the way, my team already did that. It's so wonderful. And I didn't even realize that if you're on Instagram, just go to our bio link, and the links to Dr. Anna's 7-day sample kit is right there. Actually, it's already posted. So you covered. All right. Well, so wonderful to see you. I'm so glad you managed to, and thank you for carving out the time this evening. I know it's later in the evening in Portugal right now, and you're probably dealing with some jet lag. So in spite of all of that, thank you for being here with us today and creating these wonderful products that everybody loves and changes women's lives. I know it certainly has helped me a ton, and definitely my hemorrhoids have shrunk a lot, and then they do come back when I don't use it. So that's something that is a reminder of making it as a daily practice rather than once in a while, only when they, like you said, prevention rather than just be acting when they are there. So I hope you have a wonderful journey on your Camino, and come back refreshed. And I'm just so curious about the new insights and the new life that you're going to be, maybe not.
I'm open. It's definitely been a calling. Like I've never done anything like that. I've done pilgrimages, but those are like day pilgrimages. This is for me, I'm doing 7 days of walking, 15 to 23 miles a day on average. I think that's the number. So we'll see, but I just feel called to it, but yet I feel like this piece of me is this is a marking of this next half of my life, at least next half or next third of my life. And as women, I think we should celebrate that more. We should definitely celebrate that.
I'm so glad you're saying that. When I posted this video and about like, I am not interested in my next 50 years to be this shriveled up old little lady shopping in the laxative aisle and that,
aisle.
Yeah. And I feel like, with the social media presence and the content that is out there, like you can really help yourself to prepare for the next best 50 years of your life. It does take more work because in the 20s and 30s, our bodies were so much more forgiving. But then once we enter this phase of life, it requires a lot more self-focus and attention to, like having those 3 glasses of wine at night ain't gonna cut it. Like the way we used to drink tequila, 7 tequilas. That was me. Okay, maybe 5 tequilas for others. It's like you just don't feel the same, right? And but it's at the same time, like I feel like we do get addicted to feeling good, and women are so much more proactive in their health that we can create the next best 50 years of our lives. At least that's what my intention is, and I hope for some of you, you might want to get on that journey as well. Julva is one of the tools in your toolkit. Okay. So thank you again. Thank you everybody for your questions. Thank you for being here live with us, and stay tuned for next week where we're going to be doing some wonderful exercises on a ball or a towel to continue improving your pelvic health. Thanks everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Magdalena. Thanks for everything you do. And thanks for not being shy to talk about these issues. And you set a really good example for everyone else. I mean, it's important. We can't be quiet about it, and we can't settle for, well, that's just your stage of life. So thank you.
Thank you.